Hello, this is Lisa Russick. Who else?
And Misty Lore.
Oh, Misty Lore. And who else is it? Who else do we have here with us?
Alejandra Brady.
Alejandra is back with us, listeners and watchers. This is a video on Spotify. And Alejandra, we have to ask you yet again. Who, Misty, would you like to ask?
Sure. Alejandra, do you think that we're all psychic?
Oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to say the same thing I said last time. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
Beautiful.
We absolutely all are. Now, whether or not all we use our gifts, that's another thing, but we are. They're there.
That's pretty much the consensus, whether we organize our choice. Yep. So listeners and watchers, we wanted to have her back to talk about Egypt. And we had discussions about it after the podcast. I think we talked some about it and wanted to have you back. She'll be back again. I think you're coming back the third time after this, aren't you? I thought you were. I'm not sure.
I will if you want me to. I like hanging out with you girls.
Okay, great. So what would you like to teach us about today? What do you want to tell us about? Tell the listeners and watchers.
Oh, gosh. Well, Misty and I had a lot of similarities with all the Egypt stuff, right? I think that's kind of where it started. So as the host, would you kind of like to lead us in the direction you'd like to go? And then I will follow
Well, I think
along.
we were talking about past lives, right? And like things we were connected to from past lives. And I can't remember too well what the discussion was because it was after the podcast. And after podcast, I'm just kind of like...
Right.
But I remember you two were talking about past lives, if I remember correctly. And we were all talking about you two really connected on some things that you had in common, if I remember correctly. Do you remember what y'all were talking about that night?
Well, I remember she was saying that in a past life, she was what was it again?
King Tut and Common.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Oh, no big deal.
just King Tut.
No big. That story was awesome. And when you told it, I got chills. I was like, that is just so cool, because I've experienced not to that level of past life stuff, but I have, talked about it on the podcast too. I've had, past life regression done. And it's always a fun topic for me. I love it. And I think that we were actually talking about how, everybody should do it. And it can actually heal you when you come into your present life, things that happened in your past.
For sure.
And it seems like the things that we're aware of from past lives and this life are all correspond in some way. Because I think what I was saying to you guys about that was like, I had always been interested in ancient Egypt too, but more Akhenaten, oddly enough, which is Tutankhamun's father.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think that's where I think we got on to like, well, that's really weird, because I've always thought Akhenaten was just this wild card, your pharaoh, right?
He was.
And if you don't know about him, read about him. And he decided to make it a monotheistic religion of the Aten, which is the sphere with the Egyptians would call it the disk around the sun. Would be the rays of the sun. And
which is also like Hathor, right? Because there's a big sun and then there's her horns. And so the horn, it's and I channel Hathor.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, well, so no, Hathor is a different god. This is just the...
No, that's a girl. Hathor's a female.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's a female, but it's that same sun disk with the rays, like, and then the cow.
So like in a different...
Frame it.
Like in a different time, the Aten became...
It's all about Ra. Yeah, which is the sun. Yeah.
See, I've always had an interest in Horus and Ra too, but Horus more recently.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, Melanie, who's been on the podcast before, I don't think we talked about this last time, but I really felt like a lot of callings from Horus, which it wasn't something I was looking for. It was just these things kept popping up. Horus, this, that, Horus. So I talked to Melanie about it and she's like, yeah, he does want to help you out. And so I kind of tapped into the Horus energy and it seems like it's very soft and masculine and gentle, but it's not what I expected it to be like, I guess you would say, like soft and gentle and warm. But I've always felt like the sun represents male energy anyway. to me.
Right. And then the moon is a female, correct?
Yeah. But no, I meant to say that moon represented male energy is what I meant to say. I've always felt that way because I think men have to keep their secrets and have to be quiet. They can't share their emotions, and women come along and nurture everything. And we're like the sun, you make things grow and bring a life to it. That's, and men are in our society, have to hide everything like the moon does in the night,
Super interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Well,
do you want me to bring people up to speed as to why I'm walking around thinking that I'm Tutankhamun?
I'll just keep talking if you don't.
I'm sure people are like, what the hell?
Yes, let's get back to that.
Just to kind of set the stage for everyone. So as I was going through my spiritual journey and as I was writing the book, I started doing stuff like what Misty and I were talking about, the past life regressions. And truly, it still is when people ask me, what are your favorite spiritual modalities? Like as an everyday modality, meditation, right? That's what kind of gets me through the day. But like to go do some fun stuff, a past life regression is just, I just think it's fascinating. It's like my favorite thing to do because there are so many connections to what we do now in this life, So I was in the middle of my very first one and I was told to ask spirit by the practitioner who I had been. And so I asked and I got told King Tutankhamun and I started laughing. And the practitioner, I was laying on a table face up and the practitioner slammed like her fingers into my third eye and pushed my head on the table and was mad. And she said, when spirit gives you an answer to a question that you have asked, you are not disrespectful. And I was like, oh shit.
Wow. I've never heard of that before because that's just a natural reaction.
Mad. No, she was mad. But it seems so absurd, right? Like, I mean,
right. I would have done the same thing.
I would have laughed too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I was King Tut.
Right.
So,
not
anyway,
Cleopatra, come on now.
Well, that's just it. As I pieced it together and as I went through this journey and as I did multiple past life regressions, 3 different healers in 3 different sessions all said Tutankhamun. So by the end of the third one, I was kind of like, I think I have to start paying attention to this, right? And also, like you just said, if I don't think that healers all over the world got together and sent each other a message and said, hey, if this chick Alejandra Brady comes to you, this is who we're all going to tell her she is. Like these healers were completely unrelated to each other in different states, different areas of the world.
That's what I've done.
Yeah, there's no all way. Different. Like you're not going back to the same group,
No, that's where you get your results. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
I love getting lots of readings. Yeah.
Over like 3 years, so this is not something that happened all in one tiny little spot. And then 2, I would think that too. I'm like, God, if some woman's going to come in here, who are they going to want to hear they are? They're going to want to hear that they're Isis or Cleopatra or Nefertiti or, somebody fabulous and hot and sexy. And, not a 19-year-old crippled boy with scoliosis who, by the way, as a pharaoh, and I learned this because I was just in Egypt a few months ago, as a pharaoh, he was nothing. Like he wasn't a big deal like his dad was or like Ramses II was or anything like that. He became King Tut, as we all know of him, because his grave and everything was found so intact. And it was like the first one that was found was so much stuff and so intact that they could
with
really
the name and everything. We knew who it was and all that stuff.
He himself was not like this incredible, amazing pharaoh.
Yeah.
So as I start doing research into him, I find out that he had scoliosis. Well, so do I in this lifetime. Yeah. And I have had multiple fusions because of it.
You did talk about that on the last I think.
Yeah. I don't know if it was during or after.
I can't remember.
It's like I literally can't remember because we talked for so long after. We had so much fun. We didn't want to end. So, that's what I carry in this lifetime from his. So when we were back in Egypt, we're walking through, and I don't think we said this was after. We're walking through the exhibit in the Cairo Museum, and I walked in and I saw his mask, fine, the death mask, all gold. Saw the sarcophagus, fine, not a big deal. Saw his stuff. And all of a sudden, when I saw his stuff, like his bracelets and his jewelry and his possessions, I burst out crying. like ugly cry mascara.
Oh, wow.
Dripping down my face. This is in the middle of the day. It's like 2:00 in the Cairo Museum in Egypt. And I'm unable to like control myself to the point where like if I would have been there by myself, I would have been like curled up in a ball on the floor. But we're all in single file because there's so many people trying to get through this exhibit. So my husband's in front of me, it's me. And then there's a woman behind me who is part of our group, but it was the second day we were there. So all we'd done was the night before we'd all gone, hi, nice to meet you. Because everybody was still flying in.
Right.
And she tapped me on the shoulder and she goes, honey, are you okay? And she said, my name is Laura, because I remember. And she goes, I'm from Dubai. And I'm like, okay. And I told her, for some reason, I go, I was him. And it's just really affecting me. And I got the same face that I get from anybody that I say that to, even though it's in the book. So it's out there. But if I say it to anybody, I still get that look of like, oh, you poor little delusional being, it's okay. And I just let it go. I'm like, I know the face. That's fine. And we keep walking. And about 5 minutes later, she tapped me on the shoulder again. And I go, no, I'm okay. Because I'm still crying this whole time. And she goes, no, I have to tell you something. I'm a very high level healer. She goes, I have scanned you 3 times because I thought you were crazy. Literally said those words to me. And she goes, but each time it comes back that you're telling me the truth, you really were him. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, thank you. Like, thank you. I got that validation.
Because you felt that she thought you were crazy. And then she, in
the middle of the exhibit, surrounded by all of his / my things.
I'll talk about coincidences. How are you happen to be next to someone who's an energy worker at that level and can scan you and see that stuff?
And who did it without my asking? Like I had no idea she was doing it. She was
making sure you weren't crazy. Going, she just had to know.
Crazy girl.
Yeah, she was curious. She wanted to know what went up with that.
Right. So that was just an amazing experience to get that level of validation surrounded by
your stuff,
my things at one point in time. And just kind of really helped me solidify that this was real, that it wasn't just something I either wanted to believe or created somehow or anything, this was like just another third party validation, right?
Yes.
Because she had nothing to gain from telling me one way or the other.
So what have you, do you remember the life at all? Can you remember the politics or what you were like?
No, not at all. The only thing that I remember, and thankfully I have been saying this to my husband for literally decades, because we've been married 34 years at this point in time. For decades, I have said, I have this vision. I see this place. I don't know where this place is because, and maybe this is just naive, but up until I got to Egypt, I didn't think of mountains in Egypt. And I don't really think that there are mountains.
They're like in the horizon, yeah.
But when you're in the Nile Valley, the desert looks like mountains on the sides because you're caved in the valley on the water. But I didn't know that. So we're cruising down the Nile because that was part of our trip. We're on the boat and we wake up this one morning and I look out the window and I'm like, oh my God. Because we'd been in Scottsdale like a couple of years ago during the pandemic and we drove by this one area and I'm like, that's as close as I've ever seen to what I'm describing, but this place is still not it. I know.
I'm curious. In Scottsdale, Arizona, what was it?
Yeah, Scottsdale. There was mountains, and there was.
I lived in Phoenix, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Scottsdale, Phoenix. So there was this one area we drove by that had the really super, super tall palm trees. Like think the LA palm trees too. They're super tall, skinny. There was water. And there are these mountains, and that's what I've been seeing, but it's been super specific for so long. And so we're just driving by this area in Scottsdale, and I'm like, that's the closest I've ever gotten to what my vision is, but this isn't it. Like, I know this is not the place, but I'm like, that's as close as I can get to what I've been describing to you forever. So we opened the window to the boat that morning as we're cruising, and I scream, and Art comes over, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I've been seeing forever. I'm like, this is it. And I go, but why this area of the Nile? Like, why? And so I asked our guide over breakfast. I just went up to him and I said, so question, he was very nice. He was amazing. His name's Mohammed. And I just said, when the pharaohs ruled, did they rule like Americans rule, like where you go somewhere and rule? Or did you rule from where you live? Like, how did it work? He goes, no, they lived where they lived and they ruled. And then if they had to go like to Alexandria or Memphis or wherever they needed to go, they would travel, but they lived and ruled from where their palaces were. So I'm like, follow-up question. Where did King Tutankhamun live? He goes, oh, right in this area. Why do you ask? Never mind. I go, no, just curious.
What was it about that specific place? I wonder for him.
I think I was seeing it through his eyes. Like, I think that must be what you were asking me. I think it's a memory. I don't know if wherever his palace was close by, or we were just cruising down the Nile. We hadn't gotten to a place yet. You know what I mean? So there's just like green on both sides, or like little teeny tiny towns, but we hadn't arrived in Luxor or Aswan or anything at this point. We're just so weird. In the middle of and I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's the only thing that felt very familiar. Like, I'm like, I've seen this before. This I can see. And then when I saw his stuff, like I could suddenly see it on my hands. Like I could see the stuff on my wrist.
What color were your hands? I'm curious. Were they dark or light?
They were darker, but not dark.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember dark. I just remember seeing the pieces of jewelry like on my hands.
Yeah. And was there one that was ruby? I keep seeing this big ruby bracelet on you.
There was a huge cuff that had all sorts of semi-precious stones. Yeah.
What I'm seeing.
Cuffs,
yeah.
Big, huge, gorgeous cuffs that were on, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, that hasn't changed much in this lifetime. These are all screwed in. They're all attached. So like they're on all the time. And I'm like, I still love that very heavy gold
feeling,
Like, so some stuff I think carries over the scoliosis, that visual, I mean, there are definitely things that come over.
Well, I did have a past life. I think we might have talked about this. I have a past life memory of Egypt, and something that might help you. And I think it would help me too when I try to dig into this more, because I've only tapped into it. It came to me one time. My old mentor, his name's Philip. He and I were very close when I was like between 35 to 45 or something. And we had a falling out. But I did, we're friends again now. But he's a lot older. He's, I think, probably like 75 now. And I don't really know how his health is or anything. So I did write him an email. But when he wrote back, he just talked about his cat, who he just loves. And but I remembered us being in Egypt, ancient Egypt, and we were scribes or something like that. I don't know what we were. I just say scribe because that's just the best thing I can come up with. But we're sitting in like a pyramid, but it's all light coming in from behind us. And we're like sneaking off and writing names on. It's like I can see what we wrote. Like I can see one symbol in particular, and it was a name, was the information I was given. And we were young. We were like teenagers or something. And I remember I was a woman and he was a man, but like, and the memories that came was that in the society, it wasn't like something women would do normally for work. But my dad really wanted me to do it, and I really wanted to. So he pursued, he pushed me in, not pushed me, but he helped me get into this work, basically, is what the memories were. But the things I was getting at for you is when you try to dig into, if you do more on your own into finding those memories, like Egypt is not what we think it was, is kind of the impression I get from my memories. Does that make sense to you? Like there's a lot more to it than, sideways people on walls. That was a style, it's like they weren't these, we don't know what we're doing people, they knew.
No, just the opposite. They were incredibly
very advanced. Yeah.
Incredibly advanced.
We don't know. Yeah.
Probably
that's
more
what I got.
Than they are today.
We don't know.
Yes. The ancient Egyptians. Yes, there was. And, they also didn't build the pyramids and obelisk and all that good stuff.
I always thought they did it by sound. I always thought they did it energetically by sound, but they're showing those are a lot older. They're a lot older. Like they're
way older. So Muhammad is one of the leading Egyptologists out there. And, we went in thinking we knew stuff and came out with so many more questions than even answers because there's just no human way. Their hardest material to work with was copper, but they were cutting granite. Well, copper's like a 6 on the hardness scale. Granite's an 8 or a 9. You can't physically cut one with the other and have it look like a laser cut it.
It's just perfect. They all fit.
It's perfect. Like he'd pull out a level and it's 0. Like, I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not possible. And you can't move a piece of rose granite, which only exists in all of Egypt in Aswan.
Yeah, don't they take it up? They said they used to say they took it up the river and on the
300 miles through the desert on palms, like rolling it over the palms. It weighs something like 400 tons, 500 tons.
Yeah.
Like the most that a crane can move now is less than half of that.
Yeah.
A modern crane.
Just no way.
It's not feasibly possible without a crack.
And it was all painted white with a gold cap.
That's the one I'm talking about, the giant obelisk. Yeah.
They all did, though, from what I understand. They did
at one point. Correct. Yes.
But like, for example, something you can do that I thought was kind of interesting is tell AI to generate art of what Egypt might have looked like. And I've seen some that other people have done, and it looks fabulous, but it doesn't look like anything I picture because everything I think of is like brown and tan and white, and black.
No, they used a lot of color.
Colorful, yeah. And that's what I had in the memories. It was a lot different than what I would think of it as. So I couldn't understand the memories of this past life. But I just remembered me and Philip and I just being real silly, getting these names. So we were being silly. We were doing something like we shouldn't, but it was fun. But it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Like probably writing damn or something, maybe, like a curse or something. I don't know what we were doing, but we were having fun,
little papyrus scrolls.
But no, it wasn't. It wasn't papyrus scrolls. It was it was something that was like it wasn't papyrus. It was something very thin and it would dissolve. Is kind of the impression.
That sounds like papyrus.
But it's not like it was like little squares and I don't know. They were like little squares and circles that we were writing on, but they didn't roll up. They were small. That's all I remember. Like it could have been papyrus, but I was thinking of like a scroll when you said that. I mean,
it can be any shape. Papyrus can be made because you make it by hand and you make it in pieces and then you put it all together. Like you put these strips together and create. We got to see how it's like made.
That. I have some that I printed on before for my my printer. It's in the camera if you want to see it, listeners. But I like to print stuff on weird paper and stuff, but it didn't look like that. The stuff I'm looking at is like an off-white color, and it's not in a book either. It's like loose sheets of different.
So interesting, isn't it?
But it wasn't like paper. I don't know what it was, but it was something. All the information I'm getting is it dissolves.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, though. That's kind of what I'm talking about with the Egyptian stuff that I do remember in past life recalls of my own. I don't know what this stuff is I'm looking at, I don't know what these things are that I see, it's like, can you imagine taking someone from 100 years ago and bringing them onto a podcast, for example? They'd be like, what's this?
Just a cell phone, a cell phone, TV.
Yeah, TV. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, that it's just 100 years. And what people just don't stop being curious. People are always building. People are always creating, we don't just sit around caveman it for 100, 200,000 years and all of a sudden explode. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. It's wild.
So tell us where the pyramids do come from. I don't know. I've always heard the alien theories, ancient alien theories.
I believe the alien theory myself.
Yeah. I think it's so hard to even say that, right? Just like I had to learn to say King Tut. But given what I've seen with my own two eyes, I don't see what other explanation there is.
Right.
There just isn't, there just isn't. And like there was this one thing that's sitting front and center in a case on the first floor at the Cairo Museum that is this round disc that looks like it spins. And according to Muhammad, it's an anti-gravitational device. But they've tested the metal and there's no metal that it can be named.
So it's
sitting right there. You know what I mean? Like it's like they had to put it out, but there's no like wording in English as to what it is or anything else that they had to tell us. And like you couldn't have made, again, it's made out of, like if you looked at it, you'd think maybe steel, but they tested it and they can't figure it out. But it looks like steel. It's silver.
It's an element they don't know. Yeah.
Right. It's exactly. It's silver and color, which is why I said that. But again, a laser had to have made that piece of equipment. Yep. Like that wasn't hand.
Couldn't have done that. There's no way. There's no way.
There isn't. And so I do feel that there was a different civilization of much higher level intellectual beings that were here at some point in time, because there are pyramids all over the planet.
Yeah.
Absolutely everywhere in the planet. And they all kind of had the work stop on them at almost the same time.
Yes. And they built and they stopped working on them at the same time.
Something happened. So what Muhammad feels is that there was a solar event that took place. And so people that didn't get underground were kind of like, it was wiped out. Like it was a 3-part event.
That makes sense. That's the flood.
One of them's the flood, one of them's solar, and one of them's heat.
Oh,
or sound. I'm sorry. Sound. Heat, which would be solar, right? The solar would be heat, flood and sound. So like if one didn't get you, one of the other two. So by the end, all that very advanced civilization was wiped out around the world. Yeah. And then we started over. So we didn't start from step 1, right? But we certainly didn't start, like we didn't leave off where they left off.
A lot of that information is gone. We didn't have a way to record it to where our future people could know what it was. Maybe it is sitting in those Lemurian crystals, you know?
I've got a couple of those.
If you don't know what a Lemurian crystal is, go back and watch our crystal working podcast.
Yep. I've got a couple. One sits right next to me in my car all day, every day.
Yeah, they're great. I love them.
That reminds me, where I've also heard, where, people would see like a UFO and it would be coming like out of the ocean or going into the ocean.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
I've heard many stories about that. So it kind of makes sense the way that you said that with the heat elements and everything. They had to go somewhere.
Right.
So where is that somewhere? Is it under the water somewhere? Is that where they went
in there? Now I did have a reading with a very, really amazing reader named Carluccio. Now he did tell me a little bit about something about that. He says there is a land under the earth, but you don't talk about it or anything, and you live there forever if you live there. And the people who go there probably shouldn't be talking about it. But if he talked about it, I don't know why I couldn't, because apparently, according to this reader, I knew about it already in my soul, and I kind of get it, because when I looked into it and I kind of tried to imagine this place, all I see is this white Yeti, and he's sitting on a chair in this beautiful like garden underground with the waterfalls and stuff, and he's just like a white Yeti and abominable snowman, and he just turns his face and he's just looking at me every time I go to look there, and that's all I see. I can't see past him. He's not letting me. I don't know if it's true or not, but hey, this is the experience of being an
I know. I love that.
Right?
All I know is that I can no longer feel that I think I know it all. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I just can't be that person that's like, no, we're the only beings anywhere. We're I know enough to say that there is almost more that I don't know than I do know.
And one thing
to have a curious mind,
Yes.
Be open to the fact that there are things out there that I don't understand. I may never understand.
Yeah.
And maybe we're not supposed to understand.
But some people can understand big, like Einstein could understand these huge physics concepts. Just because we can't understand them doesn't mean they
don't exist, right?
But
did he believe in aliens?
I believe in aliens. Well, I mean, the government's out saying, "Hey, yeah, there are aliens now. We will admit."
So don't forget, I lived in Sedona.
We did talk about Sedona, and you two talked about the vortexes. I remember that
stuff at night a couple of times that
I can believe that
were unexplainable.
What'd you see? Like what?
Stuff in the sky.
Okay, what would it look like usually?
Oh, people said it was a hot weather balloon and all sorts of stuff, but there were just these lights that even Art saw them too. And, he's not near as woo-woo as I am, but, I'm like, you need to come outside. And everybody, you could tell people were out and like taking pictures and stuff. And it's a dark sky community. So it's super dark at night, which is awesome for the stars. And this was not a hot weather balloon. I don't know what it was, but we saw things a couple of times. I want to say 2 or 3 times in our almost 3 years there total of having the place that, you can't really put your finger on. And it's not an airplane. It's not a hot weather balloon. It's not a hot air balloon because, they do a lot of ballooning out there. No, it's none of those things. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And it was, I don't know. And then I also saw, and I never went back and I went back a whole bunch of times, could never find it. I saw this one rock formation that to me looked like a spaceship that had been covered.
And you could never find it again.
And then in another area, and the orbs and all that stuff were like crazy around it. Absolutely bananas, because I took pictures. And then another one almost looked like an alien face laying sideways, but big. I mean, I'm talking massive.
Yeah.
What we picture as an alien face, right? The green
like
long face, that whole thing. And I took pictures, and we went on the same trail probably 10 more times, never came across those two things again.
That was like a message for you, I think, that you were catching those.
That again, maybe it's like, believe what seems unbelievable.
Yeah.
And just be open to the fact that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I kind of hope it's like Men in Black. I hope that's the reality. Have you seen the movie Men in Black?
Oh, yeah.
Smith
it's been a long time, but yes. And I've been to like all these, they
go into like this headquarters, and there's aliens from everywhere. Everywhere. And there's like all these weird things happening all around in the background and stuff when they're in headquarters with Tommy Lee Jones. And I just love that movie so much, but that part always cracked me up, because like, if you just look at all the little background stuff, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
You gotta watch it again. It's been a long time.
Oh, it's a great movie. I love it. I might watch it again. Yeah, it's a good one. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess wrap it up a little bit. I want to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Firstly, is that a word? Firstly.
Yes, it is now.
It is now. Everclear. Firstly, I thank you for being our sponsor. And Everclear.com is an app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And that's where I work. One of the places I work, and I am an advisor on there under the name Lisa P, Leesa P. And I think we kind of like went really all around the world, literally, and in the past and in the future in this podcast. I mean, I kind of want to say, like what you said, advice for just how to open that mind up to accept that there could be things that we don't. That I personally don't have an answer for. How do people get there to where they can say that and feel okay about it? So many people, fear is what keeps them from saying they don't know,
Oh, well, sure. I think we talked, again, don't remember if it was on the podcast or after, but we talked about the past life regression and my coming home. And the whole point of the past life regression was for me to use my throat, use my voice, speak, share my story, the whole thing. And I get home and my husband's like, but you're not going to tell anybody about this, right? They're going to think you're crazy. So, I think the first step is you deciding, I decided, you know what? I am going to say it. And it's okay. And, some people are going to think I'm crazy, and I'm okay with that now.
I think they're crazy too.
Right. Well, I didn't used to be okay with that, right? I mean, I know what you mean.
I know what you mean. No one wants to feel unliked or unlike everybody else.
And we're all in the South, so there's a whole nother level of stuff that gets put in there. So we all understand this. So, I've been called of the devil by family members that I no longer speak to. So I think you just have to make a decision, and you certainly don't have to be as vocal as we are choosing.
You can be as spiritual or quiet or as loud.
I wrote a book about it. So for me, it's all out there. But you don't have to go to the level that we're all going to, but you can still be curious. You can read, you can study, you can work with
do your own research.
Yes, that's the best research you can do.
Yes. Just open yourself up to the possibilities and see where they take you. And of course, always remember to ask that it's of the light.
Yes.
You never want to go into the darkness.
Very important.
It's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, because you have to stay kind in the light.
Compassionate. Yeah.
Because when we do open,
you don't want to go the other way.
We can open to everything, right? So we have to make sure we're always asking to be in the light and only of the light, and always surrounded by other people who are of the light. And
when you talk and say those things, I feel it happening. Do you feel that, Misty, when she says, like, I don't know, when you say, I feel the energy, like your throat. Like your throat, you've opened it. Let's put it that way. It feels like to me. Because when you said it, I felt like that. I just felt good,
Thank you.
Missy, any last words for the listeners and watchers, and anything for Alejandra?
I think she said it all. I mean, definitely. And like we just said, do your own research, and definitely follow the light in anything that you do. Anything. Always follow the light. That's probably the best advice I could give anybody.
Yes.
Follow the light.
The dark is very dark. You can't see.
Yes.
Right.
You might think you can see, but maybe you can't see as well as you think.
No,
I think it's more likely if people go into the dark, they're more likely not to see everything because it's dark.
They're in the dark.
Literally.
in the dark.
I take things very literally. Anyway, thank you so much, Alejandra. I'm so glad you came back, and we want you back anytime.
Whenever you guys want. I love hanging out with you too.
We loved it.
I love your stories.
We love your story. You're such a good storyteller. And Misty, as always.
Thank you.
Oh, as always, thank you, Misty. I love you to death. And
thank you.
Bye, girls.
Love you.
And bye, Alejandra, bye, Misty, and bye, listeners and watchers. We love you. Have a great time wherever you may be. And peace out. Bye.